What I'd like you guys to do now is flip to the back of your teacher model. All right, take about 2 minutes, and looking at this gumball machine, we got a lot more in here. All right, try to figure out what's the probability of getting a gray.
The observation process at MS 331 includes a lot of different components. The process most formally includes a pre-observation meeting with the teacher, an observation, and then a post-observation with the teacher. We had so many new teachers, we wanted to make sure that they understood what our expectations were and what did good teaching look like. We've been using Charlotte Danielson's framework for teaching for 3 years. Danielson's framework allowed us to really focus our feedback with teachers around very specific elements of teaching. So rather than walking in and giving sort of general vague feedback, we could give very focused specific feedback. At the pre-observation conference, we talk about mostly the components within Domain 1 of Charlotte Danielson, so all of the components that are part of planning and preparation, and we assess how well a teacher plans for their lessons. How have you accounted for different groups of students or individuals?
Okay, so the way we have students grouped in the class is sort of a heterogeneous grouping. We have sort of lower performing students mixed with higher performing students at each group of 4. What's great about today's lesson is that they'll all be engaging in the same activity and hopefully help each other out. It's very much a social activity, and they'll be able to discuss with each other, you know, their findings. So for kids who may have had trouble, they'll hopefully get a lot of help from the kids who understand it, you know, automatically. And so that will be great for them.
I think what Serapha was trying to tell me in the pre-observation was that we need to focus on certain students who may have had trouble. She talked about certain groupings. And so I just sort of made it a point to just make those quick stops and check in with them and make sure that they're understanding the lesson and they are where they should be.
We have 32.6. How would we round that? Yeah, to 33. So that's where one of your percentages went. All right. If you make the mistake on rounding, then it might not add up to 100. So I would check these also to make sure if you rounded up or down.
At the actual observation, we're really zeroing in on Domain 2 and Domain 3 of Charlotte Danielson. So we're looking at their classroom environment, which includes not only the physical environment, but also procedures and management, tone, what kind of respect and rapport there is between teacher and students. Then we're also looking at Domain 3, instruction, during the observation and all of the components within that. I think it's good practice in an observation to make sure that you're up and going around to each group and assessing how well are they understanding the learning target that was communicated to them in the lesson, how well can they articulate what they're learning, why they're learning it, how does this fit into other learning that they've been doing previously, the rest of the unit that they're going to do. And ultimately, that you also want them to be able to self-assess. How well do I understand what's happening in this classroom and what I'm learning?
So far, I'm winning.
What color are you?
Red.
Okay. And what does it mean right now to be winning?
The probability that me winning is probably hard because he's getting every time we pick up a cube, it comes out red, and I'm lucky.
So is that the experimental probability or the theoretical probability? Assessing student learning and having students be able to self-assess is one component you can capture within Danielson. So I'm looking at this from a student point of view rather than only from a teacher point of view.
Having someone in your room is the best sort of way to learn from the lesson and how it went. And by having someone give you that feedback and notice things that maybe you didn't because you were at a different part of the room, or give you just another set of eyes to see things that you may have not during the lesson.
At the post-observation conference, I shared with Drew the key elements within Danielson that I think are his strengths, as well as things that I know he should continue to work on. So I just want to point out a few things from the specific domains and components that we've been working on together. I think, you know, once again, I think that one of your real strengths is creating an environment of respect and rapport. Mm-hmm. The students seem to feel really comfortable with you. They work really well together. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of classrooms in 7th grade where if you gave students a bag full of blocks, the they would definitely not be using them for a math experiment. So I think that you've created a really nice environment where they know that what they're supposed to be doing, but you're fine with a little bit of noise, and you're fine with them as long as they keep working. And I think that it's a really nice tone in the classroom. Some of the things that we talked a little bit about that I want to keep working with you on and keep talking with about is in 2D in management is making sure there's still directives that you're giving that are passive directives.
Serapha mentioned that something I need to work on was asserting myself. You know, there's certain things in the classroom that sort of need to be demanded rather than asked for.
Eyes up top in 2. Thank you, Emily. Thank you, Clara. Jordelina, I need your eyes. Shh. Up top in 1. Shh.
You know, as a teacher, I'm standing there and saying, I'm waiting for this group's attention. Instead, that should be, I need this group's attention now. You need to be looking at me. Serapha's always been telling me, ever since I first interviewed for a job here, that I've been a little too passive. And it's not necessarily in my nature to tell kids what to do or be this authority figure. And she acknowledged that I've made improvements to that end, but I still need to improve and being more assertive, being a little more demanding of the kids' attention, and just making sure I'm in command of the classroom.
We're also looking at a teacher's ability to self-reflect, which is in domain 4, 4A, a teacher's ability to reflect on the lesson and to offer alternative suggestions for how they could have delivered the lesson in different ways.
One thing I might have changed is to not allow the game to have gone on so long so that kids would know, you know, maybe they didn't have to get, I don't know, it might have been 24 of the same block to win, but instead made it less so that they could have transitioned to the math part more quickly. And if they had done that, there would have been more time to do more share-outs and probably an exit journal as well. In the future, in this lesson, I would plan to play it for less time so that students could spend more time in discussion, in doing calculations, and you know, really showing me that they understand, you know, the mathematical purpose behind all of this.
I know that he's working in domain 2 around classroom procedures and classroom management and being more specific in his directives with students. I also know that he has struggled some with the end of the class procedures, and we were discussing that specifically. Just because he had a formal observation doesn't mean that now he's done and has accomplished that goal. His next steps will be to continue to work on those things as well as receive ongoing feedback from me. So I'll continue to visit him and see how his procedures are going, see how the management is going, and also see how he is communicating with students in the classroom.
Through the observation process, we teachers can gain a wealth of knowledge from our superiors. The assistant principals, the principals have all been teachers before. It's the best way to get advice, to really get the most detailed feedback and really understand what it is you're doing well and where you need to improve as a teacher.